Hello, everyone. The clip you're about to hear is from one of our exclusive Patreon episodes on a recent horror release, and just like all of our other episodes, it might include major spoilers for said horror release, so don't listen to it if you haven't already seen it. You've officially been warned. And if you'd like to hear the full episode, just head on over to patreon.com/horrorqueers and subscribe today. Without further ado, here is your exclusive Patreon clip. So I actually I have no relationship with Tig Notaro. Not that I don't like her. I know she does stand up, and that is it. That's all I know about her.
But she's not generally an actress. And she's definitely not an action movie actress. So this was very outside of her comfort zone. I mean, this was a role that was designed for a comedian, because, of course, let's address the elephant in the room. This is a role that was replaced. So this was a role that was originated by Chris D'Elia. He is a comedian who has been accused by many women of sexual assault, some of them underage. So when Snyder got news of all that, he digitally edited D'Elia out and put Tig Notaro in. And some people are saying, oh, it's really obvious and you can tell.
See, I think it's obvious if you know and you're looking for it, because I did know that going in, so I was like, okay, paying attention to editing. There's a reason why Tig Notaro is in constant reverse shots and never in the same. She's rarely in the same shot as everyone else. And when she is, I guess you can kind of tell, but I wasn't pulled out of the movie by this.
No, Tig's performance is strong enough, and Snyder's technical prowess is actually good enough that he can fudge it in a lot of cases. I do think you're right. If you're looking for it, you can really start to pinpoint different things. But it should be noted that some of the time people say, oh, well, you can tell because it's really hazy around Tig Notaro in her scenes. And I'll just quickly highlight a technical element. So this film was shot with something called the Canon Dream Lens. It's from the red cameras that James Cameron was using back in the day. They were developed in Japan in the 70s, so it's kind of like an archaic tech that Zack Snyder has brought into the modern world, but it creates that kind of hazy, shallow depth of field that gives everything a bit of a filtered Instagram-y look around the edges. So part of what you're seeing around Tig Notaro is, yes, that they had to, digitally insert her, but the whole film in general also has a kind of hazy, dreamlike aesthetic to it.
If anything, I would just say, if you walk in knowing that, it's a good way to kind of learn about filmmaking and editing and shot composition, because I think rather than being an asshole and being well, that looks really obvious, it's kind of let's see how they did this. How did they make this happen? Because honestly, it's kind of a good thing that they did this, because they didn't have to do that. They didn't have to say they could have just said we're gonna leave D'Elia in here, and they didn't. So
yeah, absolutely. And it's the right decision because it would have been distracting. There's a reason that we've digitally edited out people who have been accused. It's almost always sexual misconduct, but
yeah.
There's a reason that it gets done, because it's distracting to see people who we don't want to talk about or we're not ready to engage with. And I think Tig is a really inspired choice because she's unconventional, and there's a reason that she's become the kind of centerpiece when people talk about how cool and awesome this film is. The still image that went viral of her filling up the gas tank with the cigarette in her mouth. It's iconic. It's great. But yeah, if you do want to talk about how she got the role and what the process was like, there is a great Vulture article that you can just Google, and they actually walk through how arduous this process was. So I think we should applaud Snyder for sinking a lot of extra time and money into making sure that it isn't a distraction to have D'Elia in there.
Well, I was going to say, the reported budget of this, normally there's a firm number, but for this one, it's $70 to $90 million. And so, while I don't think 20 million of it was for Tig Notaro, but I would bet a good chunk of 20 million was spent getting Tig Notaro in this movie.
Yeah, the joke is that it cost a lot of money, but not as much money as it cost to make the tiger.
Oh, well, there you go. That tiger looks pretty. Again, I have no problem with the tiger looking cartoonish. It does look cartoonish.
It does, yeah.
But Notaro's, her first scene, that delivery of, I hate my life so deeply.
So good. Her deadpan comedic delivery is amazing.
It's really good.
Hello, I'm Shelby Scott, the host of Scare You to Sleep, a podcast where I tell you spooky bedtime stories full of creepy sound effects and music that is soothing yet unsettling to help immerse you into a world of horror. This is a show for those of us who have realized horror can be a strange but relaxing escape from reality. Speaking of escapes, sometimes I lead you through guided nightmares, like a guided meditation, but instead of flowery meadows, I take you on a journey through your own personal nightmare. So come get lost in the terror with me. Listen to Scare You to Sleep wherever you listen to podcasts, or find us online at bloody.fm. Sweet screams.